Mental health is a bitch. However, it seems so simple to characterize illness and wellness of an individual based on how mentally stable they are. In our society, everyone is crazy. That's not the scary part. The scary part of our society is people don't realize how common mentally ill people can be found in the world around us. There is a spoken rule in society: what you don't know can't hurt you. Mental illness, whether portrayed in media or observed in real life, is something that people are aware of but choose to ignore. The majority of people aren't aware of the crazy that are among them. We see this with people ignorant of the fact that 1 out of every 10 people are sociopaths and 1 out of every 100 people are psychopaths. While this may seem astronomically untrue, the sad truth, according to the CDC, is just the opposite. How is this possible, though? If so many of us are absolutely scarred individuals, why is it that the majority of us are unaware of these basic facts? There isn't a definite answer. You could spend days, weeks, or even years trying to figure out the multitude of reasons why people aren't as educated on the topic of mental health that would seem appropriate. Society contributes strongly to this. If you asked your random bystander on the street what they knew about mental illness, for example, to name a few or state the treatments, they say things like therapy and medication exist. Those would be perceived as the most common treatments to mental illness. However, according to the CDC, there are actually 10 common treatments that range from group therapy to intermediate isolation and meditation, and even to the more obscure and controversial treatments of electroshock therapy. However, there are over 100 treatments for mental illness, but your standard individual will be resigned to knowing only of popping pills and talking to Dr. Phils. What's worse than society's view of mental health are those afflicted with illnesses themselves. Those among even our peers, and a majority would agree that the treatments they personally have undergone, ranging from medication to long-term hospitalization, concur that the treatments they've experienced are ineffective. While raising awareness always stands as a priority of mental health recovery activists, the larger priority is ensuring that the established forms of treatment people are aware of are effective. From those who know most, current treatments aren't sufficient in helping the victims down the path of recovery. A plurality of individuals would concede that they know little to nothing about mental health. That same group of individuals all defined mental health differently. Here's where the problem arises. Society doesn't know even half what they should about mental illness. Even something as simple as the commonality of treatment isn't fully understood by the average individual. Most, however, on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 of course being the most common, would say that individuals are treated at around a 2 to 3 level, being rare to sufficient, far from the proficient to advanced or very common stages of availability that every individual suffering from a mental illness should be entitled to. People's opinions of how mental illness is portrayed would contribute to this. Most would seem to agree that mental illness is depicted horribly in the mainstream. We vilify it, we dignify it, but we never humanize it. People would be scared to be mentally ill out in the open out of the sheer fear for how people would see or treat them. People are aware that mental illness is the ugly stepchild of society. We don't talk about this child, we don't care for this child. We pretend like this child doesn't exist. The one time people can agree about anything related to mental illness is that we as humanity don't think, treat, nor portray mental illness in a favorable manner. We can agree that how people see these sick individuals is strictly negative. Ultimately, the problem stems from society casting a veil over mental health, choosing to allow it to show itself only in a negative light, proving that it's not the problem of the individual to fix. It is a problem created by a coalition. One that can only be solved by talking about it, instead of choosing to live in blissful ignorance and pretending like this problem doesn't even exist.